Hey everyone, welcome to Daily English, your quick and easy way to learn English every day. From useful phrases to fun grammar tips.
Emma Dawson stood in the middle of her grandmother's old house. It smelled of dust, flowers, and memories. The big wooden clock on the wall ticked slowly, echoing through the silent rooms. Her grandmother, Margaret Dawson, had passed away 2 weeks ago, leaving behind this house and a mystery. Emma was 25, kind-hearted, and honest. She worked in a small bookstore and didn't earn much, but she was happy with her simple life. Her grandmother had been her only family. Now all that remained was this big, lonely house and a letter. The lawyer, Mr. Phillips, sat at the round table in the living room. He adjusted his glasses and opened a brown envelope. "Miss Dawson," he said, "your grandmother left you this letter. It explains everything." Emma opened it with trembling hands. "My dearest Emma, I know you have always chosen love over money. I hope you will continue to do so. Inside this house is my last gift for you. But remember, before you can receive it, you must discover what truly matters to you. There will be two keys. One opens a box of gold, the other opens a door to your heart. Choose wisely. With all my love, Grandma Margaret." Emma looked up in surprise. "Two keys? A box of gold?" she repeated softly. The lawyer nodded. "Your grandmother was a very wise woman. She wanted you to make a choice. You will find both keys hidden somewhere in this house, but you can only choose one." Emma smiled sadly. She always loved her riddles. When the lawyer left, the house felt even quieter. The afternoon sun came through the curtains, painting the floor with golden light. Emma walked through each room slowly, remembering her childhood, the times she had baked cookies with her grandma, the stories they told by the fire, the laughter that now lived only in her heart. In the study, she found an old bookshelf. On the top shelf was a photo of her grandmother with a young man, her grandfather, long gone. Next to it was a small silver box with a note taped to it. The first key is easy to find, but easy is not always right. Inside, Emma found a shiny gold key. It sparkled under the light. She held it in her palm. "This must be the key to the box of gold," she whispered. "But what about the other key? The one that opens the door to your heart?" As she looked around the room, she noticed something strange. The portrait of her grandmother above the fireplace seemed a little crooked. When she touched it, she felt it move slightly. Behind the painting was a small envelope. She opened it. Inside was a rusty old key tied with a red ribbon. There was also a note. "This key doesn't open riches, Emma. It opens truth. Use it to find love, not money." Emma sat down by the fire and looked at both keys in her hands, one shining and beautiful, the other dull and old. She smiled softly. "Grandma, what are you trying to tell me?" That night she couldn't sleep. She dreamed of her grandmother sitting by the window saying, "Follow your heart, Emma. The treasure is not always gold." When she woke up the next morning, she decided to search for the box the gold key opened. It didn't take long to find it. It was in the attic, covered with dust and wrapped in a velvet cloth. The lock fit perfectly with the gold key. But just before she turned the key, she stopped. She remembered the rusty key, the one that opened truth. She whispered to herself, "Should I open the box of gold? Or should I find what the other key unlocks first?" She held both keys tightly. Her heart was confused, but something told her the second key was more important. And then she heard a knock at the door. It was a man's voice. "Hello, is anyone home? I'm looking for Miss Emma Dawson." Emma went downstairs, holding the rusty key in her pocket. When she opened the door, she saw a tall man with kind eyes and a warm smile. He carried a small brown bag. "I used to work for your grandmother. She asked me to give you this." He handed her the bag. Inside was a small wooden box, and carved on the top were the words, "For love, not for money." Emma looked at Daniel and smiled. Something about his eyes felt honest, safe. "Would you like to come in?" she asked. And that was how it all began.
Emma invited Daniel inside. He stepped into the warm, quiet house, looking around with gentle eyes. "This place hasn't changed at all," he said softly. "Your grandmother used to sit right there and read her letters every morning." Emma smiled. "You really knew her?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, I helped her with her garden. She was always kind to me. Before she passed away, she said you would come back here one day. She asked me to give you that box." Emma looked at the small wooden box in her hands. It was old, but beautifully made, with a flower carved on the lid. She ran her fingers over the words carved on top. "For love, not for money." "Do you know what's inside?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. "No, she told me only you could open it." Emma tried the rusty old key. It fit perfectly. She turned it slowly, and the lock clicked open. Inside, she found a folded letter, a tiny heart-shaped locket, and a photograph of her grandmother standing beside a man she didn't recognize. She opened the letter. "My dear Emma, if you are reading this, it means you have found the key of truth. The gold you may find elsewhere will not last, but love will. This locket belonged to your mother. She gave it to me before she died. Inside is a secret that will lead you to your true inheritance, not money, but something much more valuable. Follow Daniel. He knows where to go. With love, Grandma." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "My mother, she died when I was a baby. I never knew much about her." Daniel looked surprised. "Then maybe this is what your grandmother wanted you to discover." Emma opened the locket. Inside was a tiny photograph of a cottage by the sea and a small piece of paper with an address written on it. "Seabrook. That's hours away." Daniel smiled kindly. "If you want, I can take you there. It's not safe to travel alone." She hesitated. She barely knew him, but something about his voice made her trust him. "Okay, let's go tomorrow morning." That night, Emma sat by the window with the locket in her hand. The moonlight touched her face as she whispered, "Grandma, what are you trying to show me? What is my real inheritance?" In the morning, Daniel arrived early with his old blue car. They drove through green fields, small towns, and long quiet roads. The wind blew through the windows, carrying the smell of the sea. As they drove, they talked. Daniel told her about his simple life, how he worked at a flower shop, how he loved to read poetry, and how her grandmother had once told him, "Money can build a house, but only love can make it a home." Emma smiled. "She said that to me too." When they finally reached Seabrook, the sun was setting over the ocean. Waves crashed softly against the rocks. The cottage from the picture stood at the edge of the cliff, just as it had in the locket. Emma felt her heart beat faster. "It's real," she whispered. They walked to the door. It was locked, but the rusty key fit perfectly again. Inside, the cottage was full of old furniture, photos, and the smell of sea air. On the wall was a painting of her mother, smiling, holding a baby. "That's me," Emma said, touching the frame with trembling fingers. Daniel stood quietly beside her. "Your grandmother told me this cottage was your mother's dream home. She wanted you to have it when you were ready." Emma looked around in wonder. "So, this is the real inheritance. Not gold, not money, but a home filled with love? On the table, she found another envelope. It was written in her grandmother's handwriting. Emma, if you have reached this place, you have already chosen love. The gold box was only a test. Inside that box, there is money, but it is empty of meaning. What you hold now is your family's heart, your history, your future. And maybe, if your heart is open, love will find you too. She looked at Daniel. His eyes met hers. There was something deep and kind in them. "Thank you," she said softly, "for helping me find this." He smiled. "Maybe your grandmother wanted me to find you too." Emma laughed gently. For the first time in many days, she felt peace. The sea outside whispered softly, like her grandmother's voice carried by the wind. But then Daniel looked serious. "There's something I didn't tell you," he said. "Something about the gold box." Emma turned to him, surprised. "What do you mean?" He looked down, almost ashamed. "I know where it is, and I know what's inside."
Emma's eyes widened. "You know where the gold box is?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes, your grandmother told me to keep it safe until you were ready." She felt a mix of surprise and confusion. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "I wasn't sure if you would trust me," he said softly. "But now that you found your mother's cottage and chosen the key of truth, I think it's time you know everything." He walked to the car and returned holding a small chest wrapped in dark blue cloth. It looked heavy, old, and elegant. The gold key Emma had found in her grandmother's house would fit perfectly. Emma touched it carefully. "This is the gold box." "Yes, it belonged to your grandfather. He was a very rich man, but he lost everything because of greed. Your grandmother kept this box locked away, waiting for someone who could understand what real treasure means." Emma looked at the box with mixed feelings. She wanted to open it, but her heart was scared. "Should I open it?" she asked softly. Daniel smiled gently. "It's your choice, Emma. Just remember what your grandmother said. Money can't buy what truly matters." She nodded and turned the key. The lock clicked, and the lid opened. Inside, there was gold, thick coins, shining jewelry, and several envelopes full of money. The light reflected on her face, bright and beautiful. For a moment, she just stared, amazed. Your grandmother was very wealthy. She could have left this to anyone, but she wanted you to decide, love or money. Emma took a deep breath. "I could buy anything. A big house, a car, a new future." Daniel looked at her quietly. "Yes, but would it make you happy?" She closed the box slowly. The sound of the sea filled the silence between them. "No," she said finally, "it wouldn't, not if I lost what she taught me." Daniel smiled softly. "Then you've already made your choice." That night, Emma and Daniel sat outside the cottage watching the stars. The air smelled of salt and flowers. The ocean moved gently under the moonlight. "I used to dream of being rich," Emma said quietly. "I thought money could make life easy, but now I see it can't give you love or peace or family." Daniel nodded. "I've seen people who had everything, but still felt empty. Your grandmother was wise. She wanted you to see both sides." "Why did you help her? You could have taken the gold." Daniel looked down and smiled sadly. "Because she helped me once. I was poor and homeless when I met her. She gave me food, a job, and hope. She told me that one day I would help someone the same way she helped me. Now I understand who she meant. You." Emma felt tears in her eyes. "She brought us together." "Maybe she did," he said. For a long time, they sat in silence, just listening to the waves. Something gentle and unspoken grew between them, something that felt like trust, like kindness, like love. When Emma went to sleep that night,
She placed both keys on the table beside her, the gold one and the rusty one. She knew now that both had meaning, but only one had truly opened her heart. The next morning, a letter arrived. It was from Mr. Phillips, the lawyer. Dear Miss Dawson, I have one last document from your grandmother. Please come to my office tomorrow. It will explain the final part of your inheritance. Emma folded the letter and looked at Daniel. Will you come with me? Of course, he said, with a warm smile. We'll face it together. They left the seaside cottage the next morning. As they drove through the quiet roads, Emma held the locket in her hand. Maybe the true treasure wasn't gold or land or houses. Maybe it was the people you meet, the hearts that stay beside you, and the love that never fades. Still, she wondered what the last secret could be. What else had her grandmother planned?
The next morning, Emma and Daniel arrived at Mr. Phillips' office in the small town near Seabrook. The room smelled of old books and fresh coffee. Mr. Phillips smiled kindly as they entered. "Ah, Miss Dawson," he said, "I'm glad you came. Your grandmother left one final letter, to be opened only after you discovered both keys." Emma sat down nervously. "Yes, I found them both, and I also found the gold box." Mr. Phillips nodded. "Then you are ready." He handed her a thick white envelope sealed with red wax. "This letter explains the truth about your inheritance." Emma opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter in her grandmother's gentle writing. "My dearest Emma, if you are reading this, it means you have learned what I hoped you would, that love and honesty are worth more than gold. But there is one more thing you need to know. The money inside the gold box is real. You may use it, but only for kindness. It is meant to help others, not to change who you are. I have also left you the cottage by the sea. It is your new home. Use it to build a life full of love, laughter, and peace. And one more secret, my dear. Daniel is part of this gift. He has known the truth all along. I asked him to guide you, protect you, and remind you that true love never asks for gold. If your heart chooses him, he will be your greatest treasure. With love that never ends, Grandma Margaret." Emma's eyes filled with tears as she finished reading. She planned everything," she whispered. "Even meeting Daniel." Daniel looked down embarrassed. "I didn't want to lie to you," he said quietly. "Your grandmother asked me to help, but I didn't expect to care for you like this." Emma smiled through her tears. "You didn't lie. You were kind, honest, and you helped me find the truth. That's what matters." Mr. Phillips cleared his throat gently. "Miss Dawson, your grandmother left one more thing. A bank document for a charity account. She wrote that the gold is to be used to help people in need. You may choose how to spend it." Emma nodded. That's exactly what she would want. After leaving the office, Emma and Daniel walked along the quiet seaside road. The wind carried the scent of the ocean, and the sky was soft and blue. "She really wanted us to find each other," Emma said. Daniel smiled. She believed in love, and she was right. They reached the cottage by sunset. The golden light touched the windows and made the sea sparkle. Emma opened the door and it already felt like home. She placed the gold box on the table and said softly, "This gold isn't just mine. It's meant to help others. Maybe rebuild the school, fix the church roof, or help families who have lost their homes." Daniel nodded. "Your grandmother would be proud." As the sun disappeared behind the sea, he turned to her and said quietly, "Emma, I have to ask you something." She looked up, surprised. "What is it?" He hesitated for a moment, then said, "When I first met you, I was only following her request. But now, it's different. I care for you, Emma. I want to stay, not because of your grandmother,
not because of the gold, but because I've fallen in love with you." Emma's heart felt warm and full. She smiled. "Daniel, you don't need to ask. I feel the same." He took her hand gently. "Then maybe we both chose love over money." The wind moved softly through the open window, carrying the sound of the sea, a sound that felt like a blessing. That night, Emma wrote in her journal by the fire. "Grandma, you were right. The gold could buy comfort, but not happiness. Love is the real treasure. I found a home, a heart, and a reason to smile again." She closed the book and looked at Daniel, who was asleep on the chair by the fire. For the first time in years, she didn't feel alone. But then, a sudden knock came at the door. It was loud, urgent, unexpected. Emma and Daniel looked at each other. "Who could it be at this hour?" Daniel whispered. Emma slowly stood up and walked toward the door. She opened it and gasped. A tall man stood there, wearing a dark coat, holding a piece of paper. "I'm sorry to come so late, but I believe that gold belongs to me."
The man at the door looked serious. His coat was wet from the sea wind, and his eyes were sharp and tired. "I'm sorry to disturb you," he said again, "but I have to talk to Miss Emma Dawson." Emma stood still, her heart beating fast. "I'm Emma Dawson. Who are you?" He showed her a paper with her grandmother's name on it. "My name is James Turner. I was your grandfather's business partner many years ago. This document says that part of that gold belonged to me. I've come to claim what is rightfully mine." Daniel stepped forward. "Wait, you can't just come here and take it. That gold was left to Emma by her grandmother." James sighed. "I'm not here to steal. I just want what I lost. Margaret Dawson and I built our business together before your grandfather died. I've searched for years, and when I heard about her passing, I thought the truth should come out." Emma looked at him carefully. His eyes didn't look greedy. They looked tired and honest. She walked to the table and opened the gold box. "This," she said quietly, "this is what you're looking for?" He nodded slowly. Emma took a deep breath. "My grandmother told me that this gold was meant for kindness. If it really belongs to you, I'll give you your share, but please promise me you'll use it for something good." James looked surprised. "You would give it to me? Just like that?" Emma smiled softly. "It's only gold. What matters is doing the right thing." Daniel watched her with admiration. He had never seen anyone speak with such calm and courage. James's eyes filled with emotion. He slowly closed the lid of the box and said, "You're your grandmother's granddaughter indeed. She once told me, 'A heart that gives freely will never be poor.' I think she was right." He pushed the box back toward Emma. "Keep it. I don't need it anymore. I only needed to see that her legacy went to someone worthy." He smiled, tears in his eyes. "Thank you, Miss Dawson. You have reminded me what matters." With that, he turned and walked away into the cold night. Emma closed the door slowly. The house was quiet again, except for the soft sound of waves outside. Daniel stepped closer. "You could have lost everything. Why did you trust him?" Emma looked at the box, then at Daniel. "Because trust is part of love. Grandma taught me that." He smiled. "And you've taught me what real strength looks like." The next morning, sunlight filled the cottage. The sea shone bright blue and the sky was clear. Emma and Daniel sat on the porch with coffee and warm bread. "So," Daniel said with a grin, "what will you do now with all that gold?" Emma thought for a moment, then said, "I'll use some of it to fix the roof of the old school. The rest, maybe start a library or a small reading center. Grandma always believed that knowledge is another kind of treasure." Daniel nodded. "And the cottage?"
"It's our home now," she said softly. "A place filled with memories and maybe new beginnings." Daniel took her hand gently. "Emma, you've changed my life. You've shown me that love is not about what we have, it's about who we are." She smiled. "Then we've both chosen love over money." They laughed quietly as the wind played with the curtains. Outside, the waves rolled gently to the shore. Steady, endless, peaceful. That evening, Emma placed both keys, the gold one and the rusty one, on the mantel above the fireplace. Between them, she placed the small heart-shaped locket. She whispered, "Grandma, I found the truth. Love was the real treasure all along." Daniel came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her. "She'd be proud of you." Emma leaned her head on his shoulder. "And of you, too." Together, they watched the sun set over the sea, golden lights spilling into their small home, proof that sometimes the brightest riches are found in the simplest hearts. Thanks for watching Daily English. If you learned something new today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more quick English lessons every day. See you tomorrow.